game, it's so hard to essentially get yourself composed again through off a team who has already had a win on the day, especially Red Reserve, who looked fantastic. If Scraps and Wraithed are playing like that, it could well cause Rise Nation some real problems.
Oh, absolutely, and you just heard Kenny on the desk. As soon as you hear that word regain, you just got to do it, and that's what Rise Nation have to do coming into the series. And here you go, the loser bracket finals, Red Reserve versus Rise Nation, about to kick off right now. Once again, just to highlight, this should be a good map for Red Reserve. They have a lot of momentum behind them, a good statistical record as well, but still, you're going up against Rise Nation, anything can happen.
And that's the key. This Rise Nation squad, veterans if you will, they know how to regain as quickly as possible. That short-term memory, something they definitely have, but so far it's a great start for Red Reserve. 3 kills come through, and they're controlling the initial time on Vents. It's basically left down to Slasher, just try and cherry-pick the Red Reserve players from inside the hill. Joe ultimately falls, and I believe last time we saw it was Scraps that actually started very well in map number 1.
Yeah, and speaking of Scraps as well as Rated, both of them had fantastic series going up against EUnitedgg. Seems like whenever you see this Red Reserve squad play on a Sunday afternoon, Rated just hits a whole nother form, as now it's Joe inside the hardpoint, finds 2 before he gets skimmed by TJ Halley. But take a look at the spawns as you look ahead towards the upcoming hardpoint at the operations bunker. Right now it's Rise Nation with the initial positioning, but they're down in the overall score.
Wraithed, the Welsh Dragon, as you said on Sunday, just turns into a different beast. A scary player, and I know he desperately wants to get to a grand final, and I know going up against Rise, no easy task, so to get there, it's definitely going to be a fantastic series. On board with Slash now, he should be able to find the last pick there on the hill, as that was Joe that was trying to scramble away. As it stands, Rise with the early time on operations bunker, trying to chip away Red Reserve's early lead.
And look, in the overall situation that Rise Nation find themselves in the tournament, they've made impressive loser bracket runs before. You think back to Seattle from top 20 to finishing first place. So they're no strangers to the losers bracket. However, there's a lot of pressure on them here. And keep in mind, they're fresh off that loss from Team Kaliber.
And obviously, a different team, but it is worth mentioning. Stage 1 playoffs. Look what happened there. FaZe loses round 1. They go all the way through and ultimately win the event. Could it be deja vu here at stage 2 with Red Reserve? Of course, TK stands in their way. But for now, Gunless getting rather close to some streaks here. 200 points or to do it. The secure would have been nice, but just cut down right before he secured the first glide bomb. As once again, Red Reserve don't want to give away this time, and it basically comes down to Rated by himself. He finds himself a double, gets a triple, holds down the scrap time by himself, wisely backs away. He's looking for streaks. Rated, oh my lord, almost managed to get 5 kills in quick succession before finally falling, but it was Red Reserve that went for the early rotation.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's why it's such a fantastic job by Raid to stay alive in that situation. Not only does he find a couple of kills, his teammates were already on the other side of the map, set up inside the storage bunker. They were just sitting back with their feet up on their desk while Raid was forcing Rise Nation to back on up, fighting for the scrap time towards the operations bunker, and that's what's allowed Red Reserve to build this 30-point lead and growing.
And it's key if they're able to hold this down for essentially a full 60. They're going to give themselves a big cushion.
They're already halfway there.
And that's the key, right? All due to the fact that Rated just really being a nuisance. There's 2. Can Rated find the 3rd? A little unfortunate, but his teammate Scraps is there to trade. 0's going to find Slasher, and 4 Rise Nation players fall once again. This is a tremendous hold from Red Reserve, and they're not done yet. They are taking the fight to Rise Nation.
Right now, it seems like they're just firing on all cylinders, and when you have Rated and Scraps just following each other up beautifully like that, all Zero and Joe have to do is do their job up on the map, and you figure Red Reserve should be able to walk away with this one. Take a look at the side of Rise Nation. They're just getting outslayed. Simply put, Gunless is the only one that's showing up to the series right now.
At 12 and 6, he's actually having a great game thus far, but TJ 6 and 13. It was ironic because we kind of mentioned TJ's Fridays and said that's really where he struggled. He excelled. He was fantastic on Friday, but you're not really seeing that same performance here on Championship Sunday. Looney, 4 and 8, Slasher about 8 and 8 even, and you need Slasher to really take the fight to Rated. He's been in form so far on Championship Sunday, and Slasher has to shut him down.
And keep in mind, Slasher just matched up against accuracy, and statistically speaking, accuracy is that one AR that consistently is able to shut down Slasher. Now he's going up against another formidable opponent. Now on Valkyrie hardpoint. Typically, we don't really highlight the assault rifle players, but with the stats that they're putting up right now, it's certainly relevant. As right now, it's Scraps inside the hardpoint for Reserve, just found 2. Looney just trying to fend off this pressure, but he's just being forced back. The aggression is just non-stop here for Red Reserve.
Oh, Looney springs into life, though. That's a double from him. He's going to get the capture points as well. We'll see if that could potentially lead to some streaks as he finds himself on a 4-kill streak thus far. And Slasher again looking to just try and find anything he possibly can. He will have Rated in his sights, and A's thrown out. Slasher should have Rated dead to rights. Does. Fantastic stuff. Looks for the second, and Needed a little bit of assistance there from TJ, but Zero also falls. Again, Looney is still on that streak. You can see just how close he actually is now as his teammate finds the pick onto Joe, and Looney, first one in, it's going to be rated, and ultimately the kill comes in from the side. Scraps to the rescue.
Yeah, of course, it Scraps to bail Red Reserve out of that situation. Zero with the follow-up kill on the Gutless, and now you see where Rise Nation are spawning out. There should be a good amount of time going in favor of Red Reserve as they could look to maybe push out the hard point and Slay in front of it, protecting guys inside. Still around that 50-point lead and growing from Red Reserve from start to finish. They've been playing at a good pace.
Zero's so patient. He knows Slash is there. Pre-fires. He sees the nade. He knows Gunless is going to be there as well. The assistance comes through from Joe, and ultimately both players fall. And Red Reserve right now are doing such a good job of at least splitting the hills. They built themselves the cushion, and ever since then, it's just been 50-50 on the hard points, keeping that cushion for as long as they possibly can. They find themselves now round about the 149 mark to Rise Nation's 70 points.
Yeah, they have more than double the points that Rise Nation currently have. So as we enter a fresh rotation of hard points, Rise Nation find themselves on the back foot, but it's Red Reserve still looking to dictate the tempo and the pace of this game. Now it's going to be Zero with the hot hand as he's on force-free, working away towards his own glide bomb, but it should be Looney to shut this down. No!
Or not.
Zero with the turn and burn, now inside the hard point, gets some help, has to stay alive, because keep in mind, he's also holding position towards the next hard point. Even though there are 40 seconds remaining, it's still nice to have those spawns in your favor.
And Zero doesn't want to give it up, but he can afford to play a little bit more passively due to the fact he is so close to streaks, because on the flip side, Joe could be the thorn in Rise Nation's side. A double for Joe. Can he put pressure on the hill, though? That's the question. Wants to go a potentially different route, catch Gunless by surprise. Bear in mind, on the other side of the map, Zero, is he going to get bad timing? He is, but Joe sprung into life with a double kill. He's now close to streaks of his own as Red Reserve keep that 50-point cushion still alive, and with that pick, an assist would do for Joe to find the first glide bomb.
Yeah, Joe picks up where Zero left off. A chance for him to get fully streaked out in this moment, and that might be something that could help put the nail in the coffin on this Rise Nation lineup.
I love it. Get the assist.
Stun and assist, anything to help him earn that glide bomb will help.
Just has to stay alive. The opportunity for the assist goes away as Gunless finds the pick on a Zero. Now it just comes down to, is Joe going to be able to find the pick on Looney? Not going to happen. Looney with a big win there for him. Not sure he realizes just how important that actually is. But we obviously talked about Red Reserve looking as if they were controlling the spawns pretty well for Operations Bunker. Well, plus all that was going on, and Zero and Joe, of course, were playing for streaks. It was Rise that just kind of walked straight through. And a full 60 here, Revan, brings them right back into this game.
Oh, and you know it's more than doable on a map like Valkyrie. Now Slasher starting to come alive for Rise Nation, even though he gets cut down inside the hard way. Just piggybacking off your comment. It was a combination of that. Zero was playing for streaks, right? So he backed on up as he got killed. Rise Nation pushed on through. And then Joe was kind of flanking around, so they lost positioning, and he was influencing on the other side of the map.
Once again, Red Reserve doing their best to just keep that 50-50 time. Slasher with a double, but there's just another player there. Zero able to trade, and that final 10 seconds going in their way. And all Red Reserve need to do is theoretically keep this game style up. You're forcing Rise Nation to get a full 60 sooner rather than later. Because if you think about it, 2 more hills, if Red get an average of 30 points, they're winning this match.
Yep, absolutely. But Rise Nation, they can make a big stand here on the Storage Bunker. They won the rotation. They have the early positioning, but now it's going to be Red Reserve setting up the break. You see their spread that they have up on the map. Players ready to pinch in from the smokestacks, but it looks like they actually want to bring the action right through the front. Kills being traded out by both these squads. It's just Red Reserve. They're looking for the opening. Meanwhile, Rise Nation, they're soaking up the time.
Oh, and Looney wants to go out and challenge. Rated will trade that. He is, of course, at the front door. Is he wanting to push straight through? It's TJ that finds one. Gunless with a double. And this now could be the resurgence from Rise Nation. They've held storage for 30. They're looking for a full 60. And that could potentially bring us to a tied game. I'm so confused at exactly how Rise Nation has been able to just lock that down. They made it look easy, Revan.
Winning the rotation and finding kills and transitions to that new hardpoint was key for Rise Nation. Now, as they look ahead to the office, the key for them now is to hold the loading side of that storage bunker. It gives them closer spawns towards that upcoming office hardpoint. And once again, they're finding kills in transition. That's 3 down, make it 4 down for Red Reserve. Rise Nation are right back in this game, plus Gunless might get streaked out here.
Oh, just the assist for Gunless will do. Can he find the streaks? All of a sudden, the momentum is shifted here in the losers final. It's Rise Nation with the advantage. It's Red Reserve scrambling to try and break inside the hill. They were so successful at it for the first part of the game, but all of a sudden, it's Rise Nation just really controlling the hill. Looney just sat ready and waiting for the first challenge to come, but Red Reserve, they're so far away from the hill.
And we were just hiding the SMGs from the side of Red Reserve. Look at how negative Scraps is from the start he had. Same with Zero and Joe. All of them went on impressive sprees, but now they're starting to slow down towards the late game of this first hardpoint map. Just a 20-point differential right now between both these teams. It's Red Reserve, though, with control of the hardpoint.
And no streaks for Gunless. Bear that in mind. And now it's Joe close to streaks. You have to get streaks if you're Joe. This could be arguably the most important gunfight of this loser's final. There's the glide bomb. That's big. Tier 2, Tier 3 would be fantastic. It could be a massive aid to close out map number 1 for Red Reserve. As Rated fighting on the other side towards smokestacks. We'll find the first. It's TJ. Now does Joe decide to potentially use the glide bomb to support? He will do. Glide bomb coming through. He spots all 4 players from Rise Nation.
Yeah, glide bomb the entry, but if he's able to earn the artillery barrage, that could really help seal the deal, especially when we talk about using the artillery barrage to block off certain locations up on the map. As we look ahead towards that ventilation room hardpoint, it could be something to help Red Reserve hold on to their setup when we look towards that hardpoint.
And all Joe has to do here is trade. It sounds easy. It's by no means easy. A Slasher finds one. Joe with the artillery. Joe with a double kill. Pops the hill. Triple streak. Tier 2 and Tier 3 with a nade comes through from TJ. So Red not actually going to get the time as Zero tries to get straight in there. TJ with a double of his own. Rated left to try and win the AR fight against Slasher. That's not going to happen. Now you've got an artillery barrage on the hill with still 20 seconds to go.
I don't like using the artillery in this situation. I would rather him use the fighter pilot, because just like I was mentioning, you could use the artillery barrage on just about any other hardpoint to at least block off one specific lane, one entry into the hardpoint. We'll see when he decides to use the fire pilot and what can get done from it.
2:31 to 2:25. The final 3 seconds go to Red Reserve. They have a 15-second point margin here where they need to close it out. The fighter pilot's going to be called in, but
come on, call it in.
You're on vent, so you're going to be in the first hill. It's going to be inside. Rise Nation could well take the lead as Gunless is going to fall. Slasher is going to fall. This is the opening Red Reserve need. They have to be quick. They have to retake control of the hill, and just like that, they walk straight through. Tied game. Now it's Rise Nation's turn to try and break into vent. Rated the first line of defense for Red Reserve. Gunless trying to find any use of utility. Slasher's going to fall. This is the hole for Red Reserve. Gunless falls down to the final play from Rise. It doesn't even matter. Red Reserve go 1-0 up.
And it was such a strong start for Red Reserve. They slipped up maybe a little bit towards the end of the game there, but they closed out that ventilation room hardpoint. Joe making big plays happen for the team, and when it comes down to it, inside that very last hardpoint, it's Rated who turns up big time for Red Reserve as they take that one away from Rise Nation.
And you have to think how different that would have been if Rise Nation were able to get some streaks, right? Gunless was so close twice in that game, not able to get them, and you see the effect that essentially they have there as Joe earns them towards the end. The glide bomb doesn't really do much. The artillery, luckily, I think he placed it in the perfect position where Scraps could actually still get some hill time there as well, which ultimately gave them that like 9-point lead heading into the final hill. But a crazy, crazy map number 1. I mean, if that's anything to go by, the rest of this series is going to be fantastic.
And just like we mentioned coming into this series, these guys matched up on Friday and they played that exact map. When they played there, it was Rise Nation taking map 1 against Red Reserve, but here the tables turn a little bit. And keep in mind, it was also a statistical advantage for them coming into this one.
Definitely was. I believe the only other map which is the same is actually the CTF.
Yeah. And if you remember what happened there, it was Joe just sneaking through on the overextension into overtime to win it for Red.
I bet a lot of money if it goes to an overtime. Rise is going to make sure they watch that ruin Zoe. They're not going to let Joe do that again. But in terms of the series as a whole, it's definitely going to be an interesting one. As you said, 2 maps similar to what we saw on Friday in Winners Round 1. But again, you have to look at that mental aspect. We talked about it a little bit. You know what it's like when you lose the Winners Final. You're forced to play against an informed team from the losers and how they make that run. I'm excited to see how this one ultimately plays out, Remy.
Absolutely, I am too. And I know before the series started, Jess had a chance to catch up with Scraps from Red Reserve. What Scraps have to say for us?
Thanks, Revan. Well, Scraps said he's pretty happy with the way things went because they'd rather face Team Kaliber twice during the grand finals than have to face Rise again. He said, yeah, when we played Rise before, we were really sloppy, so we're kind of hoping for a different outcome this time. And yet still, he said he wouldn't consider this a redemption match, but he did say, yeah, us and Rise were the best 2 teams in the game, so we wouldn't want to have to face them twice in a row at the grand finals. I did pop over and chat with Rise a little bit. I was trying to talk to Slasher, and man, they are just so bummed out by how things have been going. It was so hard to get anything out of them. I was really trying to gas them up and say, yeah, you know, you beat Red before. Are you guys going to be able to do it again? And Slasher said, well, if we play well, we can. So let's see how the rest of the series goes. Ben and Revan, back over to you.
Thanks, Jess. Appreciate her trying to get give the players the gas, essentially. But she kind of said what we assumed, right? When you lose that Winners Final, morale can go down, Revan. And by the sound of things, at least, it looks like that may be the case for Rise Nation right now.
Absolutely. That seems like maybe they're starting to doubt themselves a little bit. Also, keep in mind, they just haven't had a lot of time to regain and refocus from that last series against Team Kaliber. But and also from the sentiment I'm getting from Scraps, I still think people, for some reason, are underestimating this Team Kaliber squad. Sure, you haven't had a whole lot of success against Red Reserve, but the way TK have just been playing all weekend long has just been lights out.
It's funny because I actually feel bad for underestimating TK as much as we did, because if you go back to Friday at Anaheim, we casted one of the games, we said, this looks like championship caliber TK. Yeah. We were so excited, and we didn't really get to see the rest of that Anaheim. But here at Stage 2 playoffs, things have clicked for that TK squad. That is not an easy final. It'd be fitting if TK was to win the first 2 events of the year, and potentially even the last 2 events of the year, a sandwich, if you will. But back to this one, a Valk Search and Destroy, map 2. Can Red Reserve give themselves a huge cushion in the losers final? Or Rise Nation tie things up?
Joe gets singled out, first blood coming in favor of Rise Nation, but Scraps is here for a trade as he shuts down the Iceman himself. Now it's going to be Red Reserve trying to rotate on over. The bomb has been dropped over towards the B site, as both teams are just going to slow down for the time being, just waiting for someone to overstep their boundary, and it looks like it's going to be Slasher. It's ready to pick him up.
That's brilliant.
The nade is there for the trade. What a beautiful play from Raiden.
That's so smart from Raiden. He recognizes this is a 1v2. More than likely, the player is going to come out and try and trade, throw the nade on the floor. Wonderful stuff from him to give Red Reserve an advantage.
Okay, Zero,
this one, he's feeling confident. I think he has a sniper rifle.
He missed the sniper shot.
He was watching the cross, so he just tried to land some damage. But you really hope to see those two kind of just play together here, right? Play for the easy trade. Almost want to bait out Zero a little bit with
Is
that.
it an easy trade going up against Gunless, though?
Well, yeah, I guess when you put it like that. Not really, but I'm sure Zero is trying to hunt down some form of a weapon. Not gonna get the kill. Scraps there, makes it a 1v1, and Zero just flew straight at him.
Like he's a Goomba going for the Mario stomp on his head, but finishes up the kill in the end. Now, Zero did have the opportunity, of course, earlier just to hit the easy sniper shot, but here you go. Of course, you have the quick challenger. You know that at least Gunless was tagged up a little bit from Scraps. Round 1 going in favor of Red Reserve.
And, of course, you see Zero find the SGG as well. That's what they were trying to do, just hunt around, see if they could find a weapon, just to make that 2v1 a little bit easier. And ultimately, the trade comes through. Advantage Red Reserve here in Search and Destroy Valkyrie.
And I wonder when Rise Nation start to feel the pressure of this situation.
You go 2-0 down, I think that's when you feel the pressure. I feel like right now, you don't really have to worry too much, right? Because you already played this team once and you beat them once, 3-1.
And all things considered, you are the best search team in the game, so this should be, a comfortable game mode for Rise Nation, but like we've been saying all weekend long, sometimes you can just throw stats out the window. It's all about the will of these players and these certain situations, and really, who wants it more? Right now, you can clearly tell Rise Nation, they're playing with all the fires. They have the man advantage in this round, looking to get the objective planted as well. It's down to Slasher as well as Gauntlets to bring the round back in favor of Rise Nation.
Joe is going to be able to get the bomb down over towards A. Rated shuts down Slasher. Gunless left to try and clutch up once again. This time, no misses from Zero with that sniper rifle. 2-0. Now the lead for Red Reserve.
You love to see it. Now they're starting to build a little bit of a cushion around that.
Scrap, sorry.
That 2-margin lead is when you start to feel safe in Search and Destroy. And yeah, Red Reserve already switched up the pace a little bit, having Zero swap off the sniper rifle, Scraps bring it out. Maybe it's just an offense versus defense type of thing. We'll keep track of it as this game progresses. But so far early on, it's Red Reserve certainly dictating the pace of this game. It's going to be Rise Nation off to a bit of a slow start. But we know that once these guys, find their rhythm, they start to take over.
The scary thing about Red Reserve and their Search and Destroy, however, is we've seen them on London Dock specifically go 3-0 up a couple of times and all of a sudden lose 6 rounds straight. Rise Nation, a team definitely capable of doing something similar.
So Zero also brings out the sniper here on defense.
Okay, so we'll see. Potentially he's going to find a pick. Scraps has a little bit of information. There's Joe thinking about being so sneaky. Backs away, he's been tagged up. Rise know exactly where he is. Joe has to play patient in this situation. Bomb goes down to A. Now a retake. It's going to be pretty tough.
And one thing I've seen all weekend long is Joe plays with a lot of mountain division on his classes, right? So he loves to sneak around the map, makes him a little bit susceptible to these nades on his way, but he commits to the engagement on TJ, wins it. First blood going in favor of Red Reserve, but of course, since that bomb gets planted on the inner site, actually, they're going to go right on it.
I love it. I love
right
this
on.
play.
Does Slasher have the angle from inside the window?
Looney's going to fall. He's going to be the guy that was supposed to check, and the bomb's just going to get defused just like that. It's so simple for Red Reserve. As soon as they isolate the one player inside the site, which was TJ, you see just a very big challenge comes through from Joe. He ultimately wins it. He did have a teammate there to trade, but the fact he wins it gives him complete site control. And in that position, you're thinking, well, I have a teammate watching the cross to the site, and then ultimately, of course, Looney falls. So you think, well, Joe, just defuse the bomb, force them to come to us, and we'll just simply out-trade in that situation.
I would love to rewatch that and see exactly where Rise Nation planted on that bomb site, because typically when the bomb gets planted at A, we're post-plant for a play over in the storage bunker window, but maybe I get ahead of myself. Zero with an opportunity to find some opening kills for Red Reserve, but it's TJ there to shut him down. Objective also dropped on the inner bomb site. It's going to be Joe here trying to follow up. Nade on the Looney does connect, but he's got hunkered on or maybe armored, survives it for the time being as Joe's just waiting for an opening. Scraps trying to scope things out with the sniper rifle.
You gotta be kidding me.
These guys are going to try to work together maybe to break on in.
Bear in mind, he does still have a nade. Doesn't want to throw it just yet because he doesn't want to reveal his position. But as it stands, 4v3 advantage, Rise Nation. Here in the Valkyrie.
Joe's close to streaks too. I didn't realize how dangerously close he was.
The question is, how does he want to play it though? right? Because you've seen him roam around this site a couple of times. He knows where both players are. Now all of a sudden you're left in a 2v4.
I think you just go, honestly, hide in office, wait the round out.
Play for the streaks. We'll see. Maybe a pick soon could change things. The problem is Bomb is down, of course, in the A site.
And the thing is, at 2-1, like Rise Nation, if they just pop up the scoreboard and take a look at his kills and deaths, you're not expecting him to have 500 total points in the game. Sure, he does get that diffuse, which helps kickstart things a little bit. But yeah, I think that's the play call, obviously, for Red Reserve. Even though Scraps finds this pick on the gunless, these are just trophy kills at this point. They're not winning the round. There's nothing they could do to break on into that bomb site. So just keeping Joe on that progression towards streaks is the game plan here for Red Reserve, as that's Rise Nation going up on the board.
It's worth mentioning if you're Rise, though, you're thinking, all right, well, they did play that a little passive. Something might be up. And then when you look at that scoreboard, you think, well, okay, for them to play that passively, you didn't see Joe at all, really, since the start of the round. You could probably start putting together the pieces of the puzzle.
Yeah, absolutely. And honestly, I know I said this on Friday, but Joe has to be the most annoying player ever to play against. At least we have in the league. It seems like every time I watch him play, he's either going on a massive flank, like shoot somebody at the side. Such a tough player to track. And just like I pointed out, because he uses this mountain division so much, his footsteps are obviously signing up on the map, which allow him to make these round opening plays for his team. And if he pushes right through this B bomb site, maybe he could find Slasher or sneak right by him.
Bear in mind, Bomb already in the A site. Zero not going to find the first pick. TJ read it like a book. And Slasher has the angle on Joe here, so surely Joe's forced to reevaluate that push because he is worried about those streaks. And it's important now he doesn't play overly passive, right? Because it was his aggression which really allowed Red Reserve to pick up a couple of rounds. And honestly, it's been that passive playstyle which has really been a bit of a problem for Red Reserve. As Rated does find a pick. Onto Looney, makes it a 3v3, but time is of the essence here, Revan. You've only got 24 seconds.
Yeah, absolutely. Time's starting to run low, and it's not too often that we see Ray with the sniper rifle. SCG in his back pocket. Red Reserve, they're finding kills. It's down to a 2v2 situation. Joe spots Slasher up top near the storage bunker. He falls. No streaks earned by him, as it's now 2 rounds 1 for Rise Nation. What were we just pointing out, Benson? Lately throughout this weekend, when we watch Red Reserve play search and destroy rounds, they'll jump out to an early lead, but then they'll chain these round losses together. They really struggle with these mid-game, mid-round adjustments, and it's what's allowed teams like FaZe, teams like Rise Nation to just run over them and search and destroy.
And it's this round right here where they need to just win. This has to be a Red
swing
Reserve
round for sure.
You need to win this round just to make sure that you can actually win a round in the middle of these search and destroys for one. But also just to put that behind them, because Rise Nation are going to sit here and say, well, this happened in London Docks. This happened in Winners Round 1. They went 3-0 up. We won 6 rounds in a row. So for Rise, a tied game here is going to be very, very good for their confidence. However, you can see what Red Reserve has done. Basically, Pocket did exactly what Rise did the round before, and they've gone for the quick plant over towards A.
Yeah, looking to get the objective down. It was Rise Nation maybe trying to blind counter Red Reserve a little bit, but Red just committing inside that A bomb site. They get the objective down, and now it's Rise Nation on that 4v4 retake, as now the kill's going to start to get shaded out by both these teams. CJ gets spotted, tagged up. Nate to try to zone him out as well. Raiden's going to slow peek this corner while his teammates just hold the other side of the map.
The help is coming, though. The help is coming in the form of Slasher. They could try and isolate Rated if they want. TJ just needs to try and win this gunfight as quickly as possible, because bear in mind, Slasher's actually made his way inside the site now. This could be very interesting indeed as 2 kills come through. Zero left by himself for the 1v3. He's get traded out. As you mentioned, TJ's going to grab the defuse in plenty of time. Streaks for him. And Red Reserve once again throw away the 3-round cushion.
Is this the beginning of the end in this map for Red Reserve? It seems like as soon as we highlight it, it comes to fruition. 3 rounds 1 to start things off for Red Reserve, as now they're falling. It's Rise Nation. And 3 of their own.
And Scraps even mentioned on the desk when he was talking about the search and destroy, he said, we're not playing with confidence. We're playing sometimes too passively when we do get the lead. We'll play confident early, and then we'll adjust our playstyle, and we just start playing differently to what isn't ultimately resulting in winning rounds. So you just want to see now Red Reserve just play with confidence. And if you can obviously stop TJ from getting a tier 2, tier 3 streak, that's best case scenario.
On a 6-kill spree, has the bomb in his hands as well, and Red Reserve have nobody over towards that B bomb site. This is looking like TJ should get fully streaked out. And look, bringing the attention back over towards Joe. A big criticism from him, earlier on in the year is that he was a bit of a one-trick pony, just always flanking, always shooting people on the side, like we always bring up about him. Now in this situation, like he can't really do that anymore. Rise Nation seem to have it figured out. Streaks have been fully earned by TJ. Hallett looks like he's going to call in maybe the artillery barrage. Something might get called in. Yeah, the
has to be quick.
Called in.
He's going to get challenged.
But yeah, he gets straight out to 2v2. Red Reserve, they could wait this out. But now it's a 1v2. It's all to Rated.
And I'm so surprised it took that long to actually kill TJ in that situation.
At first I thought, okay, maybe I didn't want to use the artillery. Maybe I want to use the glide bomb. But in the end, Rise Nation hold on. And now for future rounds, Red Reserve, you got to be worried about those streaks. It's 4 rounds in a row lost for Red Reserve.
Not looking good on Valkyrie. Looked fantastic at the start for Red. Now all of a sudden, Rise making that comeback and with streaks as well. Really is almost just a deja vu, like Search and Destroy from what we already saw in winners round 1 between these two. But the question, is streaks going to be enough for Rise to close this out? Red need a round, and they need one quickly.
Yeah, they need to find a way to just stop the bleeding. And just think about all the confidence that's now building on the side of Rise Nation. I mean, you come off that loss to Team Kaliber, you lose the map 1 in, you know, close fashion towards the end, which is just a heartbreaker. Now, in the Search and Destroy, you start 3 rounds down, but now you're rounding off round after round after round after round. 4 in a row for them. They got to start feeling confidence and just rebuilding that trust in one another. It'll be something that's going to hurt Red Reserve maybe later on in the series.
I mean, you look at the scoreboard, relatively even across the board. It's really just TJ who excelled mid part of the game, got himself some
8
streaks.
kills, 2 plants, 3 first bloods.
Doing it all. Double positive as well. Scraps to the sniper rifle, looking for the first blood. Joe not going to find it. It's TJ again. Scraps challenges, and TJ picks up a double. It's so easy for TJ right now. Go for the triple. Why not, son? There's 3 in a row for you. Rated left 1v4. He's going to fall. Rise Nation just made that look so easy.
That's why we call that man the Iceman. I remember JP tweeting out a stat about him saying that he has the most first bloods out of anybody in the league that just don't get traded out. Picks up the initial 2 kills there. And of course, he leads his team in the first blood percentage. He comes into this weekend with an 18.56 first blood percentage. So TJ's the guy that gets involved early in the rounds for a Rise Nation and has a lot of success.
And obviously, you heard Jess in between the maps say, yeah, you know, confidence for Rise Nation doesn't look like it's there. Well, bet you after this map, it's back.
Definitely starting to build. 5 rounds in a row. This is the second Search and Destroy we've casted in a row for Red Reserve, where at first it was up against FaZe, where they start off 3-0 on that London Dock Search and Destroy, then drop 6 in a row.
We might be the problem, because we casted all 3 of them.
Are we the problem?
Sorry, Red Reserve fans out there, potentially. We'll see, though. By no means over, but with 2 streaks, a glide bump, and a fighter pilot, you feel like the end is near for Red Reserve as they give up full A control.
Well, because they know those streaks are in play, so they're going to stack over towards the B bomb site. You figure those streaks are going to be used to open up something over towards the B bomb site. But then Rise Nation just committing to A, and they get a free bomb plant.
TJ in prime position to get first blood of the round. Will do so as Slasher gets the first blood, but ultimately it's 2v4. Red Reserve, they've just collapsed. There's no better way of explaining it. However, trade does come through, but it doesn't matter. Rise Nation, 6 in a row for the 2nd time here at Stage 2 playoffs against Red Reserve. To be frank, that's not good enough from Red Reserve.
No, absolutely not. And just like I pointed out, what was it, like 20 seconds ago? This is the 2nd Search and Destroy we've seen from them where they dropped 6 rounds in a row. One, it was against FaZe on that London Dock Search and Destroy. Now here, again, against Rise Nation, just simply not good enough, just like you were saying.
You can't make those mistakes. It was all fun and games to start for Red Reserve, but Rise Nation have just stormed their way back into this losers bracket final. It's all tied up 1 apiece. When we return, it's Arda and Forrest. Capture the flag. Rise Nation, Red Reserve, 1-1 on the main stage, our losers bracket final. So far the game's not disappointed. We know at least we're going to go to a game 4. Up next, Arden Forest capture the flag, which in winners round 1 between these two teams ended in stopwatch fashion, where Joe essentially gets this unbelievably smart sneak cap. Something tells me, though, I think Rise Nation learned from their mistakes.
Yeah, did a TCL breakdown on that map. Lots of crazy moments happening throughout that first matchup between both these teams. And now it's time to take a look at some tweets as well. I know we have some tweets. Use the hashtag CWLPS4 if you want to get involved. But it's all about if Rise Nation can become a dynasty, or if they are a dynasty right now. Yeah,
the question, ultimately, if they win here, are they considered a dynasty? And here's one from Hey It's Frame. I think they definitely have the ability to become a dynasty if they win champs. Or take a look at every dynasty in Call of Duty and even other sports. They all have the big one. Essentially, pretty good point. Pretty good point. I think it all comes down to Call of Duty World Championships, right? To even be considered a dynasty. And then you have to look at a whole different host of other things, which I'm sure we'll ourselves discuss after the remaining of the tweets come through. Here's another tweet there from @Super. Note, to be a dynasty, you need to win in multiple games. Only 2 dynasties so far, OG and EG/Call.
Okay, I agree that, yes, so far, those are the only 2 dynasties, but I think Rise Nation, they're on the right path to becoming one. Granted, I think they have to win this event and also COD Champs, and then that'll really put them on the right path, and then we'll see, you know, if they should stick together going into the next title as well. If they could win there, then certainly we could start this talk again.
Oh, final tweet, yes. Winning as many events in a row as they would is a marker only dynasties before have accomplished, and that's an interesting one, because you look at some of those dynasties, right now they're at 2. They win here would be 3. Assume they win champs as well. Obviously, it's never safe to assume, but for this conversation, at least, it would be 4. Now, you look at some of the great dynasties in Call of Duty esports history. Complexity did 5 events win in a row. Freako Impact, they had 4. Optic Gaming, they had 4 as well. You're essentially joining a very, very elite group of teams and names if you win 4 events in a row.
And it's not just, you know, the events won in a row. It's the events throughout that whole title as well. Those teams, if I remember correctly, they won the large majority of the percentage of the events available at the time, you know, especially thinking back. I mean, that's during my time as a player. You know, we would go into events thinking, okay, you know, Complexity, they're going to get first place. Let's battle out for second.
So about that second place, right? What's the prize pool for second? That's essentially what it was back then.
$2,000, let's get it.
Right? Yeah, but, you know, you talk about that dynasty conversation. It is an interesting one. But it's ironic enough, you know, TK, they won the first 2 events of the year. It's funny that they try and put a stop to dynasty talk by setting them to losers. And you can also have a similar conversation really with TK. I mean, if you win the first 2 and the last 2, including the big one, you've won 4 events. Yes, not in a row, but you've still won 4 for the year. Definitely something to remember and also to consider. But back to this one. Arden Forest, CTF, Game 3. All tied up at 1 map apiece. Again, in winners round 1, it was slow, methodical play from both teams.
Yep, absolutely. But Joe's going to open things up with a quick 2-piece here for Red Reserve. As, you know, last time these guys matched up, he pushed right through Runes. This time, it's down through the mid lane. Looney was the guy to try to stop him there. Slasher winds up doing it, but Rise Nation, they're pinned back at the start. It's Red Reserve with initial map control.
And it's worth mentioning that change, right? Because if you're Rise Nation, in the back of your head, you're thinking, well, last time Joe was here, he ran through Ruins. So Joe just mixes things up, because Rise have to respect that Joe did that in the past. They're always going to have maybe someone checking that line of sight. So smart play from Joe just to try and mix things up a little bit. Almost worked out in his favor. If he'd have found the 3rd kill, that flag would have been gone.
Yeah, absolutely. And also keep in mind, this is a fairly new CTF map that Red Reserve are adding to their map pool. Typically, you know, they'll play either Flak Tower or London Docks here and there. So they've had some success on this map so far, but still not a whole lot of reps under their belt. Certainly more reps going in favor of Rise Nation, as they're currently 6 and 6 on this map and mode compared to Red Reserve's 2 and 3.
I think the players themselves will tell you the Flak Tower CTF just got shambolic, to be honest. In terms of the league, they were losing it very, very often. So nice to see them change up their map pools. They need something different. They want to try and beat this Rise Nation squad, that's for sure. Now, on board with Looney, he's going to find 1. Is that the opening to try and push through Ruin side? It's 0 who's left, essentially, to just try and defend for Red Reserve. Keep Ryan number 6 on the minimap as well. It's going to be rated. He's already made his way through Cave, and honestly could cause Rise Nation some problems off spawn.
I mean, this is typically what Rise do when you're on this side of the map. You want to try to flood through the Ruin side of the map because you know your main spawn's going to be over towards back bunker, so it's easy to just fill in that gap over towards lane, and, you know, just putting an assault rifle like Slasher post up inside bunker. It's going to be tough to take him out, but then you have Rated on the other side hitting shots like that.
And let's not forget, it was a very counter-attack playstyle that Red Reserve implemented on Arden Forest against Rise Nation. They would sit, absorb pressure. Rise Nation in the first half, I believe, pulled 2 flags, of which were countered in the first half alone by Red Reserve. And you can kind of see Red set up almost in a similar fashion to what they did in that game. There's about 2 minutes currently gone. You're waiting to see that first opening, the first big push come in from either side.
And one big takeaway from this entire weekend is that European teams, when it comes down to CTF, they always make those defensive kills happen. You saw it a lot with EUnitedgg. You see a lot with Red Reserve as well. They just really know when to clutch up. And also keep in mind, helps that those reinforcements are a little bit quicker, come up off respawn. You see Red Reserve, all 4 members not spawning up. They are pinned back in their base. Now they're just looking for kills, once again, to relieve this pressure.
Oh, beautiful from Scraps. Finds himself a double. Is that going to open up Ruins? Not just yet. TJ is there, and he has something to say about it. Rated ultimately trades that out, but it's gone over towards the cabin side of the map. And just deflects a little bit of the pressure. Rated's going to respect that.
We're all looking at number 5, right?
Of course you are. Of course it's Joe. And not Slasher, just kind of keeping his eye on the Ruins OE. He's like, hold on a minute. Where's Joe? Haven't seen him for a while, and Looney comes in for the pinch. Now they have Joe dead to right. Slasher finds himself a very, very simple kill. Really, really smart defense from Rise Nation. They've adapted.
And look, sometimes that's their like one trick to try to get some, flag pressure going throughout the map. And when you're Rise Nation, you have that locked down, and you make sure that those sneaks are not able to happen. It really hurts Red Reserve throughout the entirety of the map, because now you have Joe kind of figured out, and you force him to play more straight up engagement. Look at the score he has right now, 2-6. He's not finding a lot of success right now, so you thought, maybe let's try to sneak here or there. Not working out early on.
I kind of feel like Rise will take 0-0 on the first half, right? If they go in, even Stevens, that's going to be good for them in that second half. And Scraps looking to now try and put a little bit of pressure on, really, the first map control Red Reserve has had in a couple of minutes at least. TJ there to try and deflect the push over towards Bunker. Has a little bit of assistance there from Slasher. Zero able to at least trade 1 out. Joe with the pick onto TJ. Is this now an opening for Red Reserve?
Potentially. Still have Gunless locking down mid-map. You still have Looney over towards Bunker, and Looney's going to be the last defender. You see the spawns being influenced as well. As Slasher comes back from Belt, he's going to try to help Looney on this pressure, and there you go. They're going to find the kills. The return comes in. The man advantage now over towards the Rise Nation base in their favor as well, so they should be able to deflect this pressure.
What?
But never mind, Scraps is still alive. He finds Sue. He's starting this one off 10-5. He's going to match up against Gunless and take a look at the map. Braden's also pushing up through the field.
And the problem is he has to be quick because he knows players are going to spawn behind him over towards Bell, so ultimately he was waiting to be shot in the back. Unfortunately, couldn't find that pick just yet. So once again, Rise Nation survive a Red Reserve push. Keep your eye on this man on your screens now. TJ, just waiting, so coy, so patient. Scraps ultimately stops the push once again. However, Looney has managed to establish a good amount of cabin control here.
This is a tough call to make because you see there's not a lot of time remaining, and Looney actually has good progression, 550 out of 700 towards that glide bomb. I don't think you actually want to continue to put on pressure here. It's going to be tough to try to find these opening kills, but Rise Nation, they're going to commit to it. He finds the initial kill under Joe. That's going to open things up a little bit, and Rise Nation, they're going to make me eat my words here. Looney gets the touch on the flag as well. That's going to earn the glide bomb. Also going to force some extra stoppage time here on the overextension. TJ had it cut off for a second. Maybe Looney might want to stop here and call him the glide bomb. We'll see what decides to happen.
That was a massive win. Luckily, he has Slasher posted up in a position to try and stop anything, but Slasher may just get terrible timing. He turns around. Can you believe it? Cut timing at its greatest. Joe touches the flag and escapes.
And these are the types of situations where Red Reserve excel as a CTF team. When things get scrappy and chaotic up around the map, they tend to continue to be organized and find the clutch plays that happen. Here comes Scraps trying to open things up. He's unable to, but Radiant's here to follow up.
And bear in mind, you still have that glide bomb, right? If you're Looney, you could decide to try and drop it down, but the flag ultimately goes down. Rated almost made the play. Slasher there to trade it out. And speaking of Slasher, that's going to be a double kill for him. No, Joe's still over towards the cabin side of the map. He has Scraps in support.
And it's only that glide bomb.
And now bear in mind, Looney doesn't even have to worry about holding the flag. So that opens him up to be a little aggressive. Joe's going to have to try and juke out the glide bomb. Not going to happen. Flag goes down. You have to get your crosses now if you're Red Reserve.
Also take a look at number 6. He's going to leave his teammates to try and fend off the pressure from the cabin while he goes on the overextension for a return of his own. It's going to be rated. The round winds up being a draw. I think they're just as confused as I am, because I don't think Rise Nation got that cap.
What? Time must have just run out.
I honestly wasn't even looking at the clock. So much action was going down around the map.
You hear Rise Nation there. I think that was Slasher just screaming, what?
Plus, Rise Nation, they invest the glide bomb as well. So
I would love to see a replay of how that actually ended, because obviously the flag was
probably what wound up happening was time expired. But honestly, I was so focused on what was going down around the map, because I was wondering if Ray would be able to pick up the kill on the cross. But as it stands, going into the second half, it's going to be.
Look at the clock.
Yeah, only 10 seconds remaining.
9 seconds. Okay. So basically, as all that goes through, you can just see the time ticking away. Of course, that is already overtime, and you can just see how close this is going to come down to milliseconds. Obviously, me and Revan, we were so focused on the action.
1.
Right there. Oh, my Lord. Look at that. Wow. So close. But second half, 0-0. You have to feel like Rise is going to be pretty happy about that.
I'm glad I wasn't the only one not paying attention to the time. Clearly the players were as well. But Looney, it's a hot start for him. He's going to continue this spree on 6 in a row. If he gets this flag touch as well, yes, he's going to be even closer to that artillery barrage. Stuns and grenades being thrown from every which direction, but he's just trying to escape this pressure. Fortunately, he has Guntless looking over him. You got to feel pretty safe in that situation. As this flag cap goes in, Rise Nation will get that first flag cap of the game. Plus, Looney finally earns these full streaks.
And Looney playing so well. 16-6, a 6 streak, full streaks. Obviously gets the flag cap as well for the squad. Rise now putting himself in a great position to take the advantage in the series and put Red Reserves back against the wall here in the losers final. TJ, he wants to be aggressive here, pushes straight through bunker. Elsewhere, Gunless finds a pick on Rated. You got Slasher doing some defensive duties here. Doesn't want to allow Scraps to get himself a double. Scraps goes for the challenge, and TJ still being patient.
Oh, that's why. He's waiting for the fighter play. It's going to shut down Joe, and it should also spot the spawns coming in over towards the bell side of the map. Yes, you see those red circles indicating that those players have popped up, so this flag is going to be able to get out of bunker, and TJ's going to get away safely with this. Even the glide bomb to secure the cap. Rise Nation going up 2-0.
It's all good and well playing counter-attack and capture the flag, but when you can't even spawn up, it's very hard to get anywhere on the map. 2-0 Rise Nation, a flag a minute here in the second half. TJ closer streaks as well.
And throughout that first half, Rise Nation did two things extremely well. One, not giving up control of the bunker side of the map, and two, keeping Joe on a leash, right? 6 and 15. He's having no impact whatsoever in this game. Typically, he's the guy sneaking around the map, making plays, but Rise Nation, they've had them tracked from start up until this moment in the game.
Still plenty of time, 3 minutes, but with streaks and current form to take account of, you have to feel like Rise are just waiting so patiently, and kills like that are just going to frustrate Red Reserve as TJ, 25 points will do. Still has tactical to use as well for potential assistance towards those streaks.
Okay, TJ, as you were mentioning on that 4 spree, he might get streaked out in this moment as well. He's just holding over towards the inside of the map. And Rise Nation, they're now in a situation where they don't need offensive pressure. They could just look to contain Red Reserve out on the map, establish mid-map control, just like we see on Flak Tower. Slasher makes his way over towards the Red Reserve base. He's got control. Now he's just waiting for these opening kills to happen. As TJ gets this glide bomb, he might invest it. The flag gets pulled. Slasher loses the engagement.
And it's worth mentioning, Zero had no idea, because he actually spawned that bunker there. So you're assuming, well, there's going to be no one here. Why would there be anyone here? I've just spawned that bunker. So that was a very, very important win from Zero, because again, he had no idea that Slasher was there. And obviously, no reason to suggest that he would be there. TJ has found himself a glide bomb, now looking for tier 2. Well, that's tier 3 as well. Beautifully done. It's worth mentioning, you know, we said in terms of Red Reserve, they've captured the flag, they've changed things up a little bit. They didn't have success on Flak Tower. Arden Forest, yes, you won it in winners round 1, but it was by no means comfortable. Rise Nation have, to be honest, outclassed Red Reserve massively here in game 3.
And because TJ pushes over towards the bell side of the map, he blocks off that spawn, forces Red Reserve to spawn back bunker, waits for that spawn protection to fade away, and then calls in the fighter pilot, wipes 2 off the map. His teammates clean up the rest, and this is going to be Rise Nation going up 3-0, and look at the time remaining. Only 1 minute 20 seconds. It's not looking good for Red Reserve here.
Wouldn't surprise me if maybe more streaks
about to re-earn him.
Yep, I mean, there you go. Artillery right at the back. TJ watching the cross. What was it we were saying about TJ's Sunday form? How it wasn't very good? Well, he's turned things around massively here in game 3. Hell, everyone is getting streaks at this
he's
point.
on an 11 kill spree.
Oh
Joe has 7 kills.
Looney.
Zero has 11 kills. Rated has 10 kills. The spree that TJ Halley's on right now is equal or greater than 3 of the more total kills of the members of Red Reserve.
That is simply not good enough, as
now greater than
49 seconds to go. Rise Nation, enjoy your victory lap. You earned it here in Arden Forest. Let it rain, let it pour the streaks that you've earned. And ultimately, this one well and truly over. Scraps does have a flag, but yeah, good luck, bro. There's a fighter pilot in the sky in the form of Looney, who at this point is just padding those stats. Could end up with a 3.0 KD, who finds 3 more kills in the final 27 seconds. TJ still keeping the streak alive, by the way. 13 in a row. More streaks raining from the sky. And
finally, someone kills him.
It's just so impressive what we've seen from Rise. So impressive. I applaud this type of a performance.
It's just a little bit silly at this point. I mean, look at Looney and TJ. I know you're just pointing it up, but when these guys go positive for Rise Nation, the respawn zero win rate shoots up well over 80%. And the fact that they're having this type of standout performance takes so much pressure off of Slasher, off of Gunless. Now they take the lead in the series moving forward to this 4th map.
I mean, there's positive, and then there's dropping a 1.8 and a 2.8, right? That's very, very positive. It should be almost theoretically impossible for them to lose when they're dropping that kind of numbers. And, of course, that many extra utilities, that many streaks that rain from the sky. Rise Nation 2-1. The series started where it looked like they'd lost a little bit of confidence But again, if you look at that search and destroy, Red Reserve 3-0 up in it. All of a sudden, 6 rounds back to back. The momentum has definitely shifted here in the losers bracket final. Now it comes down to one very simple thing. How much composure does Red Reserve have? They've been in this situation before, but they need to clutch up in game 4.
Yeah, we're about to find out. I mean, that search and destroy, for me, definitely a turning point in the series. Like, there's only so many times we can bring it up, but it's just unacceptable to drop 6 rounds straight in a row like that. You got to figure, one, it's a confidence builder for the side of Rise Nation, and it's kind of like a bit of a demoralizer for the side of Red Reserve because you have such a hot start. Everything seems to be going your way. All the plays you're making seem to be right, and then all of a sudden you're just like, what went wrong? Like, what did we do that all of a sudden now Rise Nation find an opening and win 6 in a row?
It's pretty shambolic, that's for sure. But in terms of map number 4, Revan, I believe we head over to, what is it, a London Docks hardpoint, which we didn't actually see in the first series, if I'm correct. So a brand new map for both two teams in terms of the series. But how does it look statistically?
So statistically, you have Red Reserve. They have a 4-2 map record on this map and mode, whereas Rise Nation, they are 2-3. So pretty close. You know, not a whole lot of reps for either of these teams because typically teams actually veto this map against both these guys. So they don't get all these opportunities to play.
I'll get too happy about those stats then if you're a Red Reserve fan, of course. Yes, of course, are positive and Y is negative, but very, very small sample size there overall in terms of numbers. But Red Reserve looking to try and force that Game 5, a St. Marie du Mont search and destroy. And it is worth mentioning, Revan, if it goes to Game 5, statistically, the odds are highly, highly stacked for one team.
I'm saying it right now. If it goes Game 5, Red Reserve are winning, without a doubt. One, you have rated. Not only is today Sunday, but he's Mr. Game 5.
Yep.
And overall on that map, Red Reserve are 8-1 on St. Marie du Mont search and destroy, whereas Rise Nation, they're only 1-3. So this is going to be the map.
Ooh, look at that.
For Red Reserve, they have to win it. They have to force that Game 5.
Well, we call it Mr. Game 5, but rated as a 1.6 hardpoint KD so far here on Championship Sunday at Stage 2 playoffs.
Pretty good.
Well, one thing's for sure, he needs to bring that same fire, that same passion to this Game 4, London Docks hardpoint. Otherwise, for Red Reserve, their tournament is over.
Not only that, you need Joe to step up massively in this map. He was non-existent in that CTF. Same with Zero. Sure. Both those guys struggled big time. And when you think back to Anaheim, I know it's a little bit of a meme at this point, but we talk about MVP Zero. Where's that type of performance? I mean, this is the loser bracket finals in the Stage 2 playoffs, and these guys didn't show up in the last map.
Well, Zero, unfortunately, will be the first player to fall in the hardpoint. Now looking over towards Rated, though. Is he going to be able to find the first pick? He manages to help out and get the assist. Of course, keep your eye on the spawns throughout this first statue hill. We'll see if Rise Nation are essentially going to be able to try and flip the map, or if Red Reserve will be able to hold. And you again feel the key for their success. Very much similar to map number 1 for Red Reserve here is give yourself a cushion, right? Give yourself that lead where ultimately maybe you can make a mistake or two.
Yep, absolutely. You're saying take a look at the spawns right now. When we look at this upcoming hill over towards the main street, spawns in favor of Red Reserve, but it's Rise Nation who currently controls Statue, and the idea for them here is to try to push through the water side of the map, flip the spawns over towards that back brick warehouse and secure them. Going to this next hard point, they have around 50 seconds to do so. But I was talking about Zero, and now he's trying to show up a 3-piece for him. Could have gotten the capture points there, but his teammate was a little bit closer.
Would have loved to have seen Zero get it, but I believe Rated is on a 2-streak as well, so both players actually working towards streaks, and it makes more sense for Zero to push over towards this coal side just to try and deflect the Rise Nation pressure, but a little bit of bad timing. Could come through. He's tried to read Gunless, who ultimately finds himself a double. Now, all of a sudden, the Red Reserve setup may have a couple of cracks in it.
And while Rise Nation fight through the front, it was Lee trying to flip around through the back as kills starting to get traded back and forth between both these teams. There's Red Reserve starting off that sequence with 4 down on Rise Nation. The Rise Nation answer back as they try to push to the hard point, then they get clearly wiped off the map. And now you have an ideal setup here for Red Reserve. They're just looking for these kills. If they can buy themselves some breathing room, they might secure the rest of the time, but along comes Rise Nation. They find the kills themselves.
Scraps trying to deflect at least a little bit of pressure for his teammates in the hill. 25 seconds left here on Main Street. Gunless wins a miraculous fight there against Joe. Rated turns around, finds the pick on a TJ, but the pressure's still coming from the front of the hill. Can he stay alive for much longer? That's the question. Zero, you asked for MVP. Zero, he's 8-4 on a 4-streak. Scraps has already rotated as well. This could be bad news for Rise Nation if they lose this rotation as well.
Zero trying to close the gap between him and his teammate Scraps as they work together to solidify their position towards this upcoming hardpoint. Zero gets tagged up, and he gets cleaned up. No streak earned by him. Rise Nation win the rotation, and this is exactly where they can come back in the game.
Red have, to their credit, given themselves a cushion though, 67-26, but they need to break through into Doc's warehouse relatively quickly, because to your point, a full 60 here, Rise Nation is essentially right back in it, and all your hard work from the first 2 hills is gone.
Yeah, also keep in mind, so early on in the game, right? Still a lot of time left to play, so both these teams could find the rhythm, and Let's see if one of them can look to take over. For the time being, it's still Rise Nation with control of the Stocks Warehouse hardpoint, and they've done a great job of closing the gap for the time being. Still 30 seconds remaining, so they have the opportunity to take the lead as well. Now's the time where Red Reserve, you can see, based on where they spawn, they're going to give up the remainder scrap time and fight for positioning over towards the barrel building hardpoint.
And obviously, we've given Rated a lot of love as an assault rifle player. We obviously mentioned the statistics coming in Championship Sunday. Let's not forget, Slasher on this map with an AR can be pretty nasty himself. Finds himself at 8-6 thus far. Gunless is leading the way, though, for Rise Nation at 10-6. And in terms of the battle for rotation, Red Reserve tried to put the spawns, but it was unsuccessful.
Not successful at all. Now they're forced to fight from a different side of the map. Maybe a little bit easier to break in from the water side, but they need to find the kills to make it happen. They were unsuccessful in doing that in transition. Here comes TJ Halley. Around the side through the gate alley. He's able to find two. Slasher chimes up for the third. And it's a clean 4 down, but the spawns, somehow they find themselves in favor of Red Reserve. They should be able to break on in from the back, but Rise Nation, they're going to put their attention towards the back. And once again, they're finding the kills.
And it's Slasher who's watching that cross as well. You have TJ inside the hill who's already earned himself a glide bomb, but this is such a big position. As you can see, the accuracy from Slasher, the man simply just doesn't miss. As Joe finally hits the flank, he's able to find two, but whilst all that is going on, Rise Nation, they're still inside the hill.
Still inside the hill, still soaking up time as Red Reserve. They've been trying to fight from the front, trying to fight from the back. They just haven't been able to find an entry inside the hardpoint, so all this time has gone in favor of Rise Nation, as now they find themselves with the lead. And every time I look at the kill feed, every single time I look at the kill feed, it's Rise Nation chaining kills together. Now as we look ahead towards the rotation, Slasher somehow teleported on the other side of the map. He finds himself so far ahead from his teammates, and Red Reserve have absolutely no idea that he's here.
And Slasher gets a little bit of lady luck, because as that pressure was coming through from Red Reserve, he spawns over to I don't think he is. Slasher, he just has to take his time here. I'm surprised he even went for that, but unfortunately he is going to get traded out. Now Red Reserve have a little bit of control of Docks, but they need to again get the momentum back into this one as Looney finds a double. TJ's trying to hunt out Joe, recognizes he has him dead to right. Ultimately the kill comes through. The trade from Scraps though, and so he was able to find himself a double kill actually in the hill there. But again, Red Reserve need to get their foot back into this game because it feels like Rise Nation is taking full control.
And beautiful awareness from Guns here, because Slasher decides to push down through the main street. He knows that he's blocking up those spawns over towards the brick warehouse as Gunless finds the kill inside the hardpoint, immediately does a 180, anticipating the spawns coming from the water side of the map. Now it's Rise Nation with a 35-point lead and growing. Red Reserve, they had to set up to break from the water side, which is exactly where they want to be positioned, at least as we look ahead towards the fresh rotation hardpoint. Statue coming up in just about 10 seconds.
Gunless almost double positive himself, 19 and 11. He's really having a fantastic game for. He's trying to carry Rise Nation through by himself. As Red again challenging for that final couple of scrap time. No one realistically too close to street, so Slasher gets himself a triple. Elsewhere, Looney finds one as well, so 4 Red Reserve players dead. The first rotation of hills, what you had a 121 to 93-point lead for Rise Nation. It was close, but you had to feel the swing in momentum drastically went towards Rise.
Oh, without a doubt. And look at the slaying from Red Reserve. Where is it? Joe, 10 and 19. Zero was going on sprees at the beginning of the game, but where is he now? He's negative. Even Rated, the guy we were highlighting coming to this matchup, he's even. Scrap's negative as well. You need somebody to step up on this Red Reserve spot, and it's got to happen soon. Right now, they're trailing by 40 points, and it could get even worse as you look ahead towards these future hard points.
And TJ try and get behind enemy lines here. He looks up towards the right side, doesn't even need to. It's Slasher who picks up yet another double kill. 17 and 12 is him, but it's Gunless still. You have to give him so much credit for this performance. 22 and 14. Unfortunately, loses that gunfight, but a big win does come in from Slasher on the other side. He will get traded out, surely. If Slasher turned on Zero, that could have been ridiculous. As Zero gets a double, Red Reserve control main street, but now again, they're in that situation where they need a full 60.
Yeah, and this would be a big hard point for them to win. Not only that, if they could find a way to win the rotation towards the next hard point as well. As the glide bomb gets called in by TJ Halley, spots the spawns, but they only have spawn protection because Slasher just killed 3 of them, wiping them away from the hard point. Now it's going to be Red Reserve. Their turn to try to break on in, but Slasher, he's playing lights out in this game. Positive 8 on a force free. He's got a chance to get streaked out himself.
And wisely backs away, waits for a little bit of team support, see if we can potentially try and catch anyone from Red Reserve crossing towards the hill. 50 points is all he needs, and if Rise do get themselves fully streaked out, you feel like this one is done and dusted. He may even juggle the hill. Oh my lord, he
only
does pick up the kill, but it's just a glide bomb. An extra half a second there, and he's fully streaked out.
Yep, absolutely, and those are big kills for Red Reserve to make. It would be nice for him to get that scrap time as well, but this full 60 would be even bigger. It'd actually bring them right back into this game. So even though Red Reserve, you face quite a bit of a deficit right now, around 50 points, they're not out of it just yet, Benson.
You cannot lose the kills on rotation, though. It's as simple as that. number 3 for Rise Nation. Slasher has to die.
Look at how frantic they're playing. Like, Joe's just doing 180s all around the hardpoint. They just don't really seem to know where exactly Rise Nation are pushing from. It's a little bit frantic on the side of Red Reserve, but still you have initial control of the hardpoint. Never mind. One break is all Rise Nation need. They break on in, and now they're looking to establish their own setup.
Their first push, they basically waltz right through the front door of Doc's warehouse and say, nope, this hardpoint belongs to us. And now Rise Nation again doing the damage. 177 to 114, still 30 seconds left. Red Reserve split spawn comes through. 3 players actually spawn useless. You essentially leave Joe all by himself. Staying alive would be massive, but Looney cuts him down. TJ's already expecting the spawns to come through. Rise Nation are playing flawless hardpoint.
It was Looney and TJ Halley taking over in the CTF for Rise Nation. This time, though, in the hardpoint, it's Gunless and Slasher. Man, just looking at positive 10 for Gunless, positive 13 for Slasher, and it's only getting worse. Now Rise 8 or Red Reserve, they're finding some kills, but maybe it's a little too late. They're down by 90 points.
A couple of players do spawn out for Rise Nation, though, so for Red Reserve, you got to be quick. Glide Bump comes in, that connects with Rated. Rise Nation have already put themselves at a 200-point advantage, or cushion, I should say. 203 to 119, 50 seconds left on barrels. And still, Red Reserve, they're spawning so far out. Rise Nation are just putting on a clinic.
Man, it just doesn't seem like Red Reserve are playing with any sort of sense of urgency. They're just flooding forward and just getting mowed down kill by kill. All right, there you go. That's a clean wipe of the map. Hopefully it's not too late for them. What they need right now is somebody get straight down. All eyes are on Scraps. Zero also on a 3-spear as well, but Scraps has gotten these kills inside the hardpoint.
We say it a lot. Players need to get streaked out, but that exactly is one of those moments where you have to play a little passive. Zero was relatively close as well, as Joe actually finds himself a double through the wall. Can he read Looney? Yes, he can. Finds the triple. Beautiful stuff from Red Reserve. There is still a little bit of life left in the Europeans.
Yeah, you just need somebody to step up in the slang, and all things considered, it's still around that 50-point game. So they've been within that margin, since like the start of the game, from that very first and second hardpoint. Now here comes Zero. We've seen him make this type of play against FaZe yesterday, but it's Rise Nation. They're watching across. Nice shots onto Looney, anticipating another inside the hardpoint. He melts Slasher, gets the capture points as well. If Red Reserve can continue to play at this pace, they're still in it. There's still hope.
They should be good to find at least a couple of kills here. Scraps has put himself in a good position. Looney reads it like a book. Now it comes down to Rated. He has to at least try and trade out a couple of kills. One player down towards the stairs. That's TJ. He will fall. 210 to 160. 35 seconds left on Doc's crane. Red Reserve still fighting tooth and nail to try and control the hill, but it's Gunless with a double kill. Joe trying to swing the momentum back in Red Reserve's favor. Rated at least able to trade out, and again, he's close to streaks of his own. If he finds the pick on Slasher, it could have been their potential lifeline, but Slasher having none of it. A double kill from him, a triple kill from Slasher. A wonderful, wonderful spree from Rise Nation.
And I was about to say, at the very least, not a lot of time was going in favor of Rise Nation, but Red Reserve weren't getting any of it as well. So it's still that 50-point deficit that they face as we look ahead towards another statue side hardpoint, and Rise Nation once again win the rotation. Once again, they had their early setup, early positioning, and they're just forcing Red Reserve further and further back on the map with every kill they make.
And let's not forget what all that neutral time could do to the overall game time clock, right? 129. It could have a potential effect. We'll see. That is, of course, if Red Reserve can keep this one close. Finally, Slasher falls. No streaks for him. Red Reserve looking to try and fight for that kill. 3 players fall for Rise Nation. Again, Joe trying to just push out.
Rise too aggressive.
Again, keep your eye on the spawns here. If you're Rise, you have 2 players spawn back useless. They now control the fire side of the map. This is so hard for Red Reserve to flip.
The only reason Rise Nation control the fire side of the map is because Joe decided to push all the way through barrels. He essentially flipped the spawns, and now Rise Nation, they're fighting from the favorable side of the map. Even if they give up their main time in front statue, they'll have the spawns in their favor over towards the eastern hardpoint. Rise continue to just flood nade from the water side of the map. They're in a good position right now.
Red can't give up this 15 seconds. You simply have to fight for it, right? Because it could be just enough. Could just be what Rise Nation need. 226 to 178. Rise with a favorable spawn for Main Street. It essentially comes down for this for Red Reserve. You need a clean break, and you need it quickly. TJ, though, taking control of the game. A double for him. One more player, and like a triple for TJ Haley. Wonderful, wonderful 4. Oh my God, is the man going to slow down? Finally, he falls, but Red Reserve spawning so far out. Your utility has to be thrown. It has to be thrown now, but Rise, they simply have too many resources.
Once again, take your eyes and put them on Gunless and Slasher. They combined for over 80 kills and just 51 deaths. An impressive performance from Rise Nation as they book their ticket to the grand final, and they look for revenge against Team Kaliber.
TJ wasn't that far off, 40 of his own. Nearly 120 kills from 3 players on that Rise squad. a just phenomenal performance from them. We questioned, would they be able to bounce back after a tough winners finals loss? Map number 1, we didn't have much faith. The resurgence started in map 2. Map 3 was comfortable, and map 4 was a statement from Rise.
Absolutely that. Rise Nation, they're looking good. It was a good rebound, as you were saying, from that loss against Team Kaliber. They find their footing here against Red Reserve. And speaking of Red Reserve, even though they bow out of the tournament here, I still think it was an impressive performance overall from them. Keep in mind, they lost in that winner bracket round 1 match to this Rise Nation lineup. Then they go to game 5 against Echo Fox, and quite frankly, it wasn't looking like they were going to win that series either, but they somehow found a way to eliminate Echo Fox, and then from that losers bracket round 1, they fought all the way to the losers final. Still impressive performance, I think, from Red.
A great spree, but I feel like they're going to go home and they know there's a lot to work on before Chapters. Yes, you finished 3rd. Your search and destroy here wasn't good enough. Your CTF still doesn't look comfortable. I think those 2 game modes, if you lose a hard point, for example, in a series, well, you're done for. As kind of prime example was this series right here.
And speaking of their hard point, I remember hearing Rated say on Hot Mic that coming into this event, he felt that they were the best hard point team in the game. So to come in here and drop, hard points to the likes of Echo Fox and now here against Rise Nation, even though Rise Nation are a formidable team, if you're going to make that statement saying that you're the best, you better show up and prove it to us.
Well, Rise Nation, they booked their spot into the grand final. Well, they'll actually need to win 2 best of 5s against an informed Team Kaliber squad. One thing's for sure, the grand final is going to be absolutely amazing. Well, we can send it now over to Jess with our PlayStation Instant Reaction with one of the Rise Nation guys.
Thanks, Ben. Yeah, we've got TJ here, and you were playing so well all series, but particularly on that CTF. What was the key to why you played so strongly there?
I think we got them in a trap at the end of the game, and we were just spawn killing them, so I was able to get free kills when they were off spawn, and yeah, we just kind of rode on from there.
All right, great. Now, before this series, I spoke briefly with Slasher, and he and really all of you guys were just looking so bummed about that loss to TK. How were you able to put that out of your mind and just focus on the game at hand?
Yeah, that was a tough loss, but I mean, you just got to keep moving forward. But we're looking forward to playing them in grand finals, and it should be a good series.
All right, well, hopefully you'll get a chance to get your revenge. What are you going to do to make sure you can get that 3-peat that I know you guys want?
We just got to stay in our game. We feel like we threw that series away against TK with the 5-5 and the CTF, but I mean, got to play our game and hopefully we come out on top.
All right, well, good luck with that. Thank you so much for the interview. This has been your PlayStation Instant Reaction. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this quick break.
Rise have sent Red home. They weren't able to take that rematch, and now Rise headed to the grand final. The question on everyone's mind: are they going to be the Stage 2 champions? Are they going to be able to grab a three-peat? To talk about all of that and the series we just saw, we got Chance and Nameless on the desk. And ultimately, let's talk about Rise. How are they able to get this win over Red?
TJ, Looney, those two guys just fried the entire... Like, if Slasher and Gunless aren't necessarily your standout players at the end of the series, Rise was doing a lot right, and they probably won pretty convincingly. You know, TJ in the S&D had 10, 12 kills, whatever it was, 3 pieces left and right. Looney at the end of the CTF had 28. They had absurd stats. They had an absurd series. That was Rise at their best.
I mean, if they're playing like that, this is the type of team that could take down back-to-back series.
Absolutely. I mean, we've been talking about TJ all weekend long. He's been going off, and right there he goes off again. But guess what? The other players on Rise were like, yo, you don't have to do everything this series, TJ. I'm going to back you up. You see Looney have that crazy performance in that CTF, and then on Game 4, Slasher and Gunless were going off the entire time with the ARs. There's not much you can do when a team's playing like that when they're firing on all 4 cylinders.
This is absolutely insane to look at this grand final right now. I'm excited to actually break it down, really get into how this matchup's going to look. But let's take a look at this last series. Let's start with that hard point as well. What are we going to be watching here, Chance?
It's all Joe. You got the artillery in the hill because of him. You got the glide bomb that was called in before this because of Joe. And then at the end, it's the fighter pilot that helps him out. And he actually waits quite a long time as well before he calls it in and does it perfectly. And it's worth pointing out this game, like Rise Nation, like Gunless choke streaks, for example, and that's kind of like the turning point, right? So comes at the very end, you got 2 players that are outside, and he waits till the very end to let his teammates push up the wings of the map, that way to block the spawn. So he gets the 2 kills, and look at how far away. The back left pocket of the map is where Rise ends up spawning. That's why he's waiting for the streak. It was done perfectly, and then of course, you know, you got a bunch of bodies stacked inside the hill. You win the gunfights hereafter. These are easy gunfights for Rated to win. And of course, it turned into that crazy 250-237 finish. But again, it's a different game. If earlier Gunless actually earns his streaks trying to baiting switch his teammates, and then Joe would have a lot more struggles after that. But final 30, 45 seconds to the game, Red played perfectly.
It was amazing. It was amazing to watch. He waited to use that streak, and that patience in the final, in like a loser final scenario, is something that most players don't have. He waited to use it, and it was just seamlessly used. Some people in the back, we were like, what? Use the streak, use the streak. And then he waits, and we're like, okay, Joe, you know what's going on. Good play.
S&D, though, ultimately we see Rise able to jump back into a Chance.
And the way it started, after that kind of hard point win, and then Red Reserves goes 3-0 up in the S&D, I was like, holy hell, like Red Reserve, they might actually just run through Rise, and then who knows what happens in the grand final, but they look good. And then after they got the first 3 rounds, it was just round after round of TJ getting first bloods, and just everything that could go wrong after that for Red Reserve could go wrong. And flip side, of course, Rise played well.
First blood's definitely crucial there.
Oh yeah, he was playing that elbow position, and he was playing so sneaky. He was laying down, just camping in like the dirt patches in the street, and they would run past him, he'd pick up a kill, and not only one, he'd get another one. So he was following his first bloods up with secondary kills, which is crazy.
Now, the CTF, this is the one that I'm definitely waiting to watch right now. This was about as close of a call as you could get. We're going to take a look at it right now, that cap.
Yeah, this map was insane. I mean, Looney absolutely went off for this game, but in the OT here, you're going to see sort of a blunder. Gunless was not waiting on the flag post, ready to cap it, and he kind of like, I heard him scream, he goes, what? In the back, he thought that he was going to get the cap, but the time actually runs out because this was the final minute, and you're going to see it here in a moment. He gets this flag, he runs back, and he doesn't lay down on the post, and they don't get the cap. So a little bit of a blunder using a streak here, but you know, Looney takes his momentum from this side into the next one. They absolutely dominate, and they win the map. TJ Halley starts contributing as well.
So absolutely.
You're gonna see it right here. Hold on real quick. Gunless is right next to the flag. They're gonna go for this return, but he's not waiting on the post. And this is where the scream comes in though. What? So it's kind of a blunder, but they're still able to win. So Rise is at the top of the game.
Absolutely a blunder, no doubt about that, but it's worth pointing out, TJ at the end of the half had 12 deaths. He finished with like 14. He went 5 minutes after that. He picked up like 13, 14 kills, died twice, got streaked out, and they had just a monumental lead the second half. So they had a blunder and still won the game really convincingly off the back of their subs.
Let's take a look at map 4 as well. And as we start to look at this one, Chance, I really do want to keep in mind just how many times these two squads have gone up against each other this year. Like, it really has been insane at this point.
Absolutely. And then, of course, at this point, it definitely seems like the hard point, you'd have to give the edge to Rise now. It seems like, because, like, yes, Red Reserve can get outslayed and they can still win games, but not by this much. Like, Slasher's what's the math on that? Plus 17, TJ plus 7, Gunless plus 13. Like Nameless already said, the AR, it was just dominance on this map. And on the flip side, well, Rated has 27 kills. He's barely past Joe in that regard. It was just sheer dominance. And considering how bad the score was, yes, it was a closer game than you'd expect, but when they're playing like that, again, Rise Nation are just incredibly difficult to beat.
Now we can actually start to talk about the grand final. If we want to talk about stats, I mean, TK 9-2 in map count chance is what you said before we actually, like, that is...
In one of the map losses that they have, it was Enable went like 26-40 against Rise with 5. Like, he had an incredibly off game, and even then, they only lost by like 40 points in the hard point. So only 2 map losses. They have been playing out of their minds, and it seems to have almost like slipped under the radar. And it's interesting as well.
Not anymore.
Well, definitely not anymore. They got the grand finals. They got to win one of the next 2 best-of-5s, but in the regular season, they were 0-6 in round 11s. If they start clutching some of those up, instead of like the 9-5 record they have, they would have been 12-2, 13-1, and we'd have been like, holy hell, like TK